Hi guys, I hope you are comfy because today we are going to be talking about books. So for my B project, I read 5 different books. They all had a female author. They were all historical fiction, specifically set in the Victorian era, which means they all follow the same societal morals and values, and they all have a female protagonist who is strong and opinionated. That for me was really important because those are the type of books that I like. There are plenty of different books that from that era that have male protagonists, but today I wanted to focus specifically on these amazing women. So the books that I chose were Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, that was published in 1847, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, that was also published in 1847, The Awakening by Kate Chopin, that was published in 1899, A Study in Scarlet Women by Sherry Thomas from 2016, The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss, and that one was published in 2017. All of these books were so much fun to read. So the first two are obviously the Bronte sisters, who are legendary. Their books were very beautiful, amazing reads, and I'll go more into that later on. The Awakening is the only book that I chose that was from America. That one's set in New Orleans, and I wanted this one to sort of show a little bit more diversity within the Victorian era and sort of show where things were in different time periods. We don't really talk about diversity in this time period when there was plenty of diversity. There were plenty of diverse characters. Like Heathcliff is actually, like, they say that he is black within the book, and then you look at the movie adaptation and he is played by a white guy. So there's a lot of erasure, especially when it comes to films and things like that. But just keep that in mind. I also really wanted to have some books from modern day just to sort of show the differences between how they wrote before and how they're writing now, and they're sort of showing the same time period but in a new light. On to our summaries. Wuthering Heights is a story told through the eyes of Nellie Dean, a housekeeper, as she tells the intrepid tale of a love triangle between Heathcliff, Catherine Earnshaw, and Edgar Linton, and how it destroyed not only their lives, but the lives of the people around them. Now, this book has its main theme is consequences and revenge. It has very vivid imagery and a very twisted, nefarious plot that honestly leaves you extraordinarily satisfied at the end. Jane Eyre is the tale of a young orphan, Jane Eyre, as she grows into a remarkable woman. Her fiery spirit guides her to great love and turbulence as she has to choose between her heart and her mind, and she discovers where she truly belongs. So the themes of this book are self-discovery as well as self-honesty. It's touted as one of the great romances of the time period, along with, Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet. It is the tale of a love that transcends so much, and it's a really beautiful story. So The Awakening is an interesting twist away. First off, it's American, so there's already going to be a different spice to it. So this is the story of Edna Pontellier, wife of a wealthy banker from New Orleans, as she vacations with her family in Grand Isle. Her experiences over this holiday leave her a changed woman, triggering an awakening of self, and the story then goes over the subsequent consequences of that awakening. So this book has beautiful symbolism, especially that in water and rebirth. Its themes are of liberation and the restriction of motherhood and marriage, and the liberation of female sexuality. It's very powerful, and I feel like this book is extremely underrated by students who don't really understand the themes, and I think it's a real shame because I remember reading this book and I got so much more out of it now than I did before. Moving on to our more modern pieces. A Study in Scarlet Women is a reimagining of Sherlock Holmes. So it's the story of Charlotte Holmes and her bid for independence that has gone awry. She is left on her own with little money or job prospects. That is until she teams up with Mrs. Watson, a retired actress. All the while, a string of murders in high society all point towards Charlotte's sister, Olivia. The race begins as they try to find the true killer, solve a mystery, and establish a lucrative side business. The game is afoot. So this is great for people who love Sherlock Holmes, but are tired of Watson and Sherlock being seen as Mary Sues. They're good at everything. I read one where Watson didn't know how to drive, and all of a sudden he was a master driver within like a night. This book has a really interesting plot, a lot of fun characters, there's a lot of intrigue and twisting and turning, and it's really well done, I think. This next book is going to be The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. Now, this is a story of Mary Jekyll as she works to find the nefarious Mr. Hyde in order to get the reward money after her parents' death. So this leads her to many new allies, such as her sister Diana, and with the assistance of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson, they find more women, all created through scientific experiments. This book is so much fun. It's definitely more on the fiction, borderline fantasy side of historical fiction, but it's so much fun, and I love how they mix mash so many of the really cool, fun fiction of the time to create something so new and so it was so refreshing when I found it. The characters are the character arcs in themselves are so well thought out. And each and every one of them has growth in one way or another, and it's just it's beautiful. So the schematic description of all of these is that they are all from the Victorian era, which ran from 1873 to 1837, to 1901. This is all from the same category of historical fiction as Jane Austen and Gail Carriger. I would love one day to do a class of just these books. I would love to just have them in small groups and just have them go to town on these books, because there is so much that you can get from them, and the just eloquence of the speakers, and there's just something about these books that leave you feeling so dignified after you read them, and your vocabulary expands so wildly as you absorb that way of speaking and that way of being. It is truly remarkable. Although if you're anything like me, every single time that they say tea and biscuits, you're going to want tea and biscuits, and you're going to have to make yourself tea and biscuits, and it's just not good for your diet. Anyway, so I would love to have a class of just these type of books. Like, I keep thinking about how I want them to be in small groups, and they would each read a book together so that they get that social element, and then they'll do a presentation for the entire class, and how they present it will be different based on what the book they're doing and what the different people in the group want to do, and it would be like really fluid, and it makes me so excited. And heck, we could throw in Sherlock Holmes and other books like that, because I feel like this era is so juicy and so interesting, and I had so much fun on this project. And now I can't write straight because I just want to write everything like a Victorian era dandy. So there's that. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your semester.